Yo guys, welcome back to episode 4 of Motivated by Pain, with your host, Pain. It's time for some pain, baby. In this episode, I want to make you aware of the workings of the mind and how your thoughts impact your life. Also, stay tuned for episode 5, where I'll be talking about the power of self-belief and how this affects your life. So stay tuned, pay attention, and you might be able to change your life for the better. Let's begin. I'll start by clarifying that the brain and the mind are not the same thing. The brain is the physical mass of billions of cells located in the cranium. The mind is the energy that interpenetrates and surrounds the brain. Quantum physics tells us that everything is energy, and energy vibrates at different frequencies, making it physical or non-physical. Therefore, the mind is just molecules of you vibrating at a higher frequency than the physical molecules of you. When the mind is at work, it will generate thoughts, and that is called thinking. Thoughts look like tree branches. And the more you repeat a thought, the more you add to the branch. Thoughts are the language of the mind, and feelings are the language of the body. Thoughts can be positive or can be negative, and they have a huge impact on our brains, as I'll explain soon. Negative thoughts act inward and destructive. Take for example depression. If depression is left untreated, it will soon generate a loop of negative feelings and emotions, as well as physical symptoms. That's why most people with depression tend to isolate themselves and sometimes commit suicide, as like a bad cell that wants to shut down. On the other hand, positive thoughts act outward and expressive. The more positive and loving you think, the more of the same positive energy and feelings you'll generate and radiate outwards. Through our thoughts, we release chemicals in the body, and that generates feelings. It is said that thought attracts that upon which it is directed, meaning that what you focus on will multiply. Negative thoughts attract poverty and lack, and positive thoughts attract energy, vitality, prosperity, and pretty much everything your heart desires. That's how powerful our thoughts are. Now that I explained how thoughts work, let's move on to the 3 minds. As I just mentioned, we all have 3 minds. The conscious mind, which is the mind of thought and decision making. The subconscious mind, which is the mind that regulates our vital functions and keeps everything in check. And the superconscious mind, which is the mind that connects us all, the mind of all knowledge and the collective consciousness. Take for example the picture of this iceberg. What you see on top above the water is the conscious mind, which amounts for 1 to 5% of the totality of the mind. What you see underneath the water, the big part, that's the subconscious mind, and that amounts for about 95 to 99% of the totality of the mind. And everything else that surrounds the iceberg is the superconscious mind. Huge difference, right? Now listen to this and you'll understand the real difference. The conscious mind has its own will. It sets goals and judges results. It is time-bound. It's either past or future-focused. It stores the short-term memory, which is about 20 seconds in an average human being. It has limited processing capacity, about 40 bits of information at the time, which stands for no more than a couple of tasks simultaneously. The subconscious mind is habitual. It monitors all our bodily functions like breathing, digestion, immune system, heart rate, and everything else that keeps you alive. It's present focused, and it uses past experiences to perform current actions like driving, talking, reading, and all the things that you do so effortlessly. It experiences the world through the 5 senses like hearing, seeing, touch, taste, and smell. It stores long-term memory. It stores your past experiences as values, attitudes, beliefs, perceptions, behaviors. It has expanded processing capacity, about 40 million bits of information at the time, which stands for thousands of tasks simultaneously. And the superconscious mind is the infinite intelligence. It has access to all knowledge. It has access to all minds. It has access to past and future lives. It sees the big picture of your life, and it helps you filter what goals are worthy for you to hold. Also, it allows us to connect to any mind on the planet. Do you now see the difference between them? Because of the 40 to 40 million bits processing difference, when your conscious mind sets a goal and your subconscious disagrees with it, it's very hard to accomplish the goal. You stand little to no chance. Take for example smoking. How hard and how many times did you try to give up? Did it work? Well, the reason it didn't work is because smoking is a habit, which is stored in the subconscious mind. And imagine trying to overcome 99% of the mind with 1% of it. Doesn't really work, right? In this case, it might seem that the subconscious is our biggest enemy, but in fact it's like a friend that wants our best but doesn't have the right methods. And the good part about it is that we can make friends with it. It works on the same principle as a friendship. The more we know about the person, the easier it's gonna be to communicate. Therefore, we must find out its likes and dislikes, strengths and weaknesses, and its preferred communication method in order to communicate effectively. And once we please them, they will most likely please us back. As I mentioned previously, the subconscious experiences the world through the 5 senses. It has its own sensory-based language. We humans use 3 of these modalities as primary ones. These are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Out of those 3, we tend to specialize into one more than the others. I'll now give you some examples so you can understand. Visual people are best to communicate and learn through pictures, images, and presentations. Auditory people are best to learn and communicate through affirmations, presentations, tapes, and audible programs. Kinesthetic people are best to use physically active processes since they are more sensitive to feelings, sensations, and movements. So in order to establish effective communication with the subconscious mind, we need to find our primary modality in order to pass on the information successfully. You will find a link down in the description for a quiz that will help you find out your modality. Just click on it, download it, and fill it in. We must also define our goals as clear as we can. This is the information to be passed on. Because of the literal thinking it operates on, if we give it abstract goals like being happy or having fun or being successful, they will not be understood. We must translate the idea into sensory-based language and embed as many senses as we can in order to make it more meaningful. Because only when the goal is understood completely, the subconscious will assist us into achieving it. Once it's stored in there, it's just a matter of time until it becomes reality. There's a famous quote that says, "If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand." I've heard so many people talk about goals and the importance of defining them as clear as we can. But I never heard anyone explaining why we should do that. I hope that this episode made you understand why. With that said, I bring this episode to an end. Stay tuned for episode 5 where you'll learn about the power of belief. And once you put episode 4 and 5 head to head, they will aid you into changing negative behaviors and habits that rob you of the joy of life. As you can see, the length of the episodes is a bit shorter because I noticed the episodes were far too long. So from now on, I'll keep the episode between 5 to a maximum of 10 minutes. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Like or dislike, comment and let me know what you think, and don't forget to share. Also remember, believe and you shall become. Peace out.